ask why goals, two reasons. There are no middle grounds in life. You either grow or you die. You may not die physically, but you actually are alive, but will bury you 30 years down the line. Very important to remember. Number two, it helps us to tap into the God-ordained potential of creation. In other words, human beings have the ability to sit where they are, to be where they are, and create a future that they desire. And it's all because when you begin to dream and focus on what you want and what you want to be, you are actually bringing in the power that comes from above. Because remember, at some point there was no earth, there was nothing. And over a period of time, everything was created. Now, we are saying, therefore, that you have the ability to make something out of what you have. It's literally the ball is in your court. But it will not be unless if you have a goal. Now, let's look into an example of someone that we all can relate to. Bill Gates. Now, many people don't realize where this dream started. He was a teenager, around 17 years old, and he said that one day, every business and every household in the world will have a computer. Now, when you say that as a teenager, what do people say to you? What's that? Just mom. Start from 10 case. But did he give up? When he had that negativity, he did not give up. Today, as you speak, I'm using Microsoft PowerPoint. It's because this man's dream has become a reality. Actually, he's retired now. His work is to spend money. Can you imagine the type of work? You know, he just spends money around the world, fixing malaria cases and all that. It's all because he had a goal in mind. Very important to note. Now, yes, let's talk about what not to do. There are four main things that you should avoid as a young person, as a young professional. Number one, living for the moment. I had a friend who used to say, what if tomorrow never comes? Unfortunately for him, tomorrow always came. And as a result, 5 years down the line, he has nothing to prove for the last 5 years. Because he just lived for the moment. Do you understand? So very important not to do. Number two, don't keep up with other people. Compete with your previous self, not other people. Because the reality is that if you set your standards according to other people, they will always lower the bar. It's almost like when you're at school and someone hits a 50 and you hit a 55, you feel like an achiever. And yet your potential is sitting at 70. So that also needs to be avoided. The next point, actually it may sound like a contradiction to the workplace because when you come to work, you want to be paid at the end of the day. Am I right? But I want you to observe people that are really stars in what they are doing. You'll notice when they speak that they are actually not doing it for the money. But money happens to them anyway. They're doing it for the love of the game. When you do that, money does happen to you. And also we need to avoid the societal definition of success. How does the society define success generally? The money, big car, big house. For younger people, what is it? Of course, you've got to wear the right stuff. And then people define you as being successful. Now let me share with you, there's a professor, I think he's with the University of KwaZulu-Natal. At some point, when we were still at Wits, he did not have a car. And yet he was a professor. Because he does not believe in cars. So therefore, when you see him walking, you will think, hey, Mara, prof, Mara, what's up, Mara, shap, shap. And if the prof goes and buys that starter pack, the very people say, after 20 years, starter pack. Prof, maybe prof will the drugs. And then prof decides, okay, fine, from this starter pack, let me buy the big car. When he buys the big car, yo, prof, yo, we can't make any call at all. They are going to take 6 months. Mind you, it's the same voices. Ne? They said, buy, going to buy the blah, blah, and all that. I have gotten to a point where I say, you know what? I don't listen anymore. As long as it is right for you, do it. Do you understand? So don't put yourself under pressure because of what the society expects of you. Now, there are two approaches, therefore, towards goal setting. You can either choose the material route or the personal development route. Which route would you say many people, beginning of the year, beginning of their internship, they start off with? Material. Ne? Now, look at this. That materially, if we focus on them, it is defining the things that we would like to have. But if you focus on personal development, It's defining the kind of person that you would like to be. Now, some time ago, I met Tim Modise at a bookshop in Rosebank. Now, I observed him, you know, obviously, you know, Pratim, I mean, Pratim is Pratim, you know. And at the time, he was on radio and stuff. And people on the radio, hey, they respect you again. Yeah, and I mean, what comes out of his mouth was always sound. Actually, I miss him, honestly, on radio. Now, I observed that he bought around four different books, and very thick ones, né? You know, like the Long Walk to Freedom type of size. He was buying that type of book, and I said to myself, no wonder he sounds like this. Because of what he puts in. You understand? Guri reads this stuff, so when he grabs the microphone, what comes out of his mouth, it is something credible. You understand? So in other words, if we were to think about it, the Tim Modise's focus between material and personal development, which angle was it? Personal development. Did he not have the material things? He did. But do we know about them? No. That's why we don't know what Bill Gates drives. But of course you know what. Now let's conclude this part on goal setting with a statement by Jim Rohn, that we grow personally and we advance materially. Focus on you and your development, because that will open doors, and that's really part of seizing the moment.